Heartfulness is a volunteer-driven movement that brings together people from all walks of life. Heartfulness volunteers are committed to making heart-based meditation with a trainer available to everyone, everywhere, completely free of charge. It is an effort to ensure that all have the opportunity to realize the true potential of the human heart, which is infinite. Today, heartfulness has spread to every corner of the globe, but it originated 75 years ago from this humble home in the bylanes of the town of Shahjahanpur in Uttar Pradesh. This was the home of spiritual pioneer Babuji Maharaj. The genesis of the Heartfulness movement lies in the foundation of the Sri Ramchandra Mission, which was established by Babuji in the memory of his Guru, Lalaji Maharaj of Fatehgarh. Babuji's method of spiritual training relied less on philosophy and more on direct experience. He believed that it was not necessary to renounce worldly life to expand one's consciousness. Through heart-based meditation, he made the most refined states of consciousness available to everyone. After Babuji's passing, the movement was guided by Chariji, who worked tirelessly making it available to people all over the globe. Chariji established centers all over the world where people could come and meditate together. Since Chariji's passing, the Heartfulness movement has been guided by Daji. Daji has further extended the scope of the movement and made it more easily accessible. Heartfulness volunteers are now leading initiatives and helping people in diverse fields such as education, health, wellness, agriculture, conservation, and resource management. This International Centre for Heartfulness has also been developed under Daji's guidance. The following film, released on the occasion of the inauguration of Kanha Shanti VANAM, will give you a glimpse into this special place. The world we live in today is in need of spaces that offer peace, hope, inspiration, and insight. People from all over the world are creating one such place near the city of Hyderabad in India. It is a meditation center. It is a spiritual retreat. It is a major ecological conservation project. It is an institute of learning and development. It is an attempt to create a sustainable community that can be a model for future generations. It is Kanha Shanti VANAM, an oasis of peace. Prior to 2010, this entire area was largely barren, dry, and arid. At the outset, a massive plantation drive was undertaken, with special emphasis being given to endangered local species. Over the years, the green cover has steadily increased and the landscape has been transformed. The people creating Kanha Shanti VANAM are drawn together by an aspiration to lead a life guided by the heart and supported by a set of meditative practices. Training in these practices is offered for free. This approach has been called the way of the heart, the natural path, or simply heartfulness. The inauguration of a large meditation hall at the heart of Kanha Shanti VANAM will commemorate 75 years of heartfulness. Work on this meditation hall started in 2017, and a dedicated team assisted by volunteers, has worked tirelessly to make it ready. When a large group of people meditate together, a very special atmosphere is created. Everyone is invited to experience this at the special function being held to mark the inauguration. This will take place in late January and early February 2020. There is a community dining hall that serves free meals 3 times a day, apart from a cafeteria and a restaurant. Artists from India and overseas are collaborating on many initiatives, and a pottery studio has already been established. Experts from diverse fields like medicine, architecture, management, the arts, yoga, and communication are invited to conduct workshops, projects, and seminars here. Kanha Shanti VANAM is constantly evolving. Each one of us may have something to give to and something to learn from here. All of humanity is joined at the heart. All of us aspire to peace and happiness. Yet, our lives are often driven by stress, conflict, and unsustainable habits. This campus is an attempt to provide an alternative. Kanha Shanti VANAM belongs to us all. Everyone is invited to come home to Kanha.
Hello and welcome to today's session. Together we are here to celebrate International Women's Day and to experience Heartfulness Meditation. My name is Nupur Khandelwal and I'm going to be your host for today. A bit about myself. I'm joining us live from Toronto. I work in the field of human resources, specializing in leadership development, and I have been practicing Heartfulness Meditation for 9 years. I feel privileged to be a woman. International Women's Day is a global day recognizing the social, economic, cultural, political achievements of women from different walks of life. The theme for this year is Choose to Challenge, and that reinforces the idea that each one of us can help in creating a gender-equal world. We know that in the pandemic, during the time of COVID, there has been many negative and disproportionate impact on women, both at home and in the workplaces. So it's especially timely that we're coming together today to celebrate and acknowledge the contributions of women. I'll give you a quick overview of what you can expect in this session today. Our program consists of 3 segments. First, we have a lineup of 4 inspirational women that will be sharing a bit about their work and journeys. Second, we will get to experience heartfulness, relaxation, and meditation for ourselves. And finally, we have here groundbreaking research on the science behind heartfulness. I, for one, am curious to understand what are the impacts on our physiology, how can we improve our health and sleep patterns? And if you have some of the same questions, guess what? You are in luck. We have the expert in this area, Dr. Patrick Porter, and he will be joining us and uncovering many of these mysteries. So stay tuned and hang in there. I also want to add, if you have any questions as we are proceeding through the session, please enter them through the comment section in YouTube. We will continue to monitor your comments and questions, and we'll address them as the session goes along. So with that, I'd like to introduce our very first guest speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce our first guest speaker, Ms. Apoorva Srivatsava. She is the Consul General of India. Ms. Apoorva is a career diplomat. She joined the Indian Foreign Services in 2001, and prior to being appointed as India's Consul General in Toronto, she worked with the Minister of External Affairs from 2017 to 2019. She has served twice in the Indian Embassy in Paris and in the Indian Embassy in Kathmandu. Ms. Apoorva is married and has 2 daughters. Welcome, Ms. Apoorva. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really, really delighted to be part of this wonderful session today on the occasion of International Women's Day by Heartfulness Institute. First of all, let me offer my congratulations to the Heartfulness Institute for all the great work you have been doing in promoting mental wellness and especially all the work done during the pandemic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Ms. Apoorva, you've had such an accomplished career. Could you please share with us a bit more about your journey and how you've come to this point?
Okay, so I was born and brought up in Lucknow, a city in Uttar Pradesh, northern part of India. My father was in administrative services, so we traveled a lot. I mean, there was a lot of it was a transferable job, so he traveled a lot all across UP. I traveled with him. The whole family traveled with him. So basically, like all Indian parents, my father wanted his children, at least one of his child, to follow his footsteps to enter the Indian civil services. So my brothers decided to do, who are elder to me, they decided to do different things in their life. So of course the mental of the fell upon me, and I had I took the exam, and I got through the Indian Foreign Service in 2001. As you know, the civil services examination is a common examination for selecting all the civil servants in India. So you never know what you will get. You can be a railway guy, you can become a police officer, you can become an administrative officer. It's based on your merit, and it's also made on your choice. So these two are matched, and whatever you get. I mean, so. Before I got into Indian Foreign Service, and I didn't know anybody in Indian Foreign Service. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into. But it has been a wonderful journey, a journey full of experiences, a journey full of, learning. Because you have to travel to so many places, you get to know different people, you experience different experiences, your mind broadens. It's a journey of personal development, and above all, you represent your country. What is more honorable than that? So it has been a great journey. So when I got selected, in the foreign service, you have to choose a language to specialize in. So I chose French,
Right.
and hence I was sent. My first posting was in Paris, so that I can practice and get better in my
Right.
French. So from Paris, I went back to India. There was the SAARC summit we were organizing in 2007. India was the chair, so I had been organizing that. Now, after that, I was posted to Nepal. Nepal again is a neighbor, and a great relationship we have with Nepal. So I spent 3 years there, and then went to Paris again. For 3 years. Of course, France is our strategic partners. We have good relations in defense, space, all the strategic areas. So, of course, that also was a great learning experience. I was also looking after a bit of UNESCO and a bit of OECD relations with that also. Then I came back to India, and there, I got the opportunity to work very closely with our external affairs ministers. So for almost 3 years, I worked with our former external affairs ministers. I was managing her office, Mrs. Raji, and then later around 4-5 months with Dr. S. Shankar, the new external affairs minister, before I came to Toronto. As you know, as you already said, that my husband is my batchmate. He's also a fellow diplomat. So we have been posted together most of the time, and right now he's our Deputy High Commissioner in Ottawa. and we have 2 daughters. So that has been a journey in short for you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And on today, on the occasion, as we're celebrating International Women's Day, what would you say is your key message for women and men that are watching this session?
There are many things which I would like to say actually. For the women, I just want to say that, as women, we juggle many roles. We are caregivers, homemakers, professionals, daughters, daughter-in-law, sister, friends, and multiple others. And each of them is governed by attitude, beliefs, thoughts, and perspectives. There are biases. And many of them are accompanied by a set of unrealistic expectations and demands. And we also are guilty of that. We also want to be perfect. We also want to be superwoman. We want to be perfect in everything we do. And this gives a lot of burden, and we lose this often we lose sight of our own individuality and needs. So it's very essential that we find time to practice self-care, and of course heartfulness is a great opportunity for that, so that our health is a priority. Until and unless we are healthy, we are happy, we can't take care of others. So self-care can drastically improve our well-being, both mental and physical. We should also it's okay not to be okay, because it's okay to fail. We have to be ambitious. We never feel guilty for being ambitious. But of course, if you do something, there's chances that you'll fail. So never beat you up on that. It's okay not to be okay. So just pull yourself together, learn from your mistakes, and carry on. I think that's very important, because we women take a lot of guilt on ourselves. For men, I think, and also we need to support other women, because it is we have to support and encourage each other. Women alone has power. Collectively, we have impact. So celebrating another woman's triumphs or success can never take away from your own shine and glory. So we all have to remember that. Also, men are equally important for the role of women empowerment. We have to teach, the men they have been, for instance, in my life, men in my life, my father only, because of him, I'm here, whatever I am. So my husband has supported me in every step which I take. So, we can't take, we have to teach the men around us. There are many, our sons that, it's because of you, the women can be empowered. Gender parity will benefit everybody. So that is extremely important.
Thank you. Your messages are resonating with me, especially when you said it's okay not to be okay. And I can understand, wearing different hats and balancing and keeping self-care front and center. And thank you for sharing how men can be strong allies. So, with that, I want to express sincere gratitude. Thank you for joining us this morning and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I look forward for the session.
Thank you. So today we're hearing from women from across different sectors. And now let's visit the world of media and communication. Our next speaker is Raji Arasaratnam. Raji is the founder of Senthamarai Creative Writers Association of Canada. She's also the CEO of Tamil Entertainment Television. As a mother of 2 boys, she appreciated the importance of mental health in adolescents and in the growing population. Raji committed herself to print and digital mediums to provide a platform to serve multicultural communities. Her involvement in the community is truly commendable. She is deeply rooted in spirituality, and her goal is to be remembered for the many initiatives that she has underway that are especially focused towards serving the greater good. Let's hear the message from Ms. Raji.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Raji Arasaratnam. I am the Chief of Editor of Thamilar Senthamarai newspaper and CEO of Tamil Entertainment Television. Both our media platforms cater to South Asian in Canada with a viewership of thousands of people. The business industry was very new to me, as I took on this role after my later husband who passed away. It was a very man-driven industry, and to be a woman to successfully strive in it was not easy. I did it for my two boys who were young at the time and needed to guidance and comfort. I needed to be a pulse of strength of them so that they would be able to receive the opportunities and confidence this world had to offer them. I learned new things, put aside negative talk, and always put my best foot forward. So I am here today. Women need to have the mentality and anything is achievable if they set their heart and mind to it. Nothing in life is permanent, and each day should be lived to fullest. You should tackle each day with productivity and fulfillment, and most importantly, keep to learning. I feel that self-care is always a priority. You can't take of others if you can't take of yourself. Keeping the mind and soul pure, the body active, and the heart full plays a very important part. Energy you set out into your space, which is why we encourage yoga and meditation show on TET HD an article of wellness on Senthamarai to address how critical these things are to everyone's daily lifestyle. These programs and articles have been received so well in the community, which show how much of a need there is for internal wellness. I am a woman who fought many internal and external battles, but the same woman that is standing here today with the confidence and self-determination to say that anything and everything is possible if you set your heart and mind to it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I wish everyone a very happy, safe International Women's Day. I have a very good news to share with you all. Channel Entertainment television programs are watched by millions of viewers all over the world. Starting March 7th, Sunday, meditation season with Taji will be telecasted every week on Sundays. I hope all South Asian communities who watch Channel Entertainment TV channel will get benefit by participating in meditation session conducted by Taji every week.
Thank you for that message, Raji. Women are often the only one at the table, and it is heartening to hear that in challenging times, you persevered and pursued your passion. Closely aligned with that is the area of health and wellness. So I would now like to welcome our next speaker, Dr.Arlie Millyard, an inclusive health and wellness consultant. She helps wellness practitioners and educators create a more inclusive and safe spaces, practices, and curricula for LGBTQ2SIA+ patients and students. While working on her Bachelor's of Sciences in Psychology and Biochemistry from University of Toronto, she focused on the ways that emotions and mindfulness affects our health. And then she went on to applying this research by studying at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. She plans to open her own naturopathic practice this year. And Dr. Millyard will be sharing with us how every woman is entitled to their own version of womanhood. Let's cue the video to learn more.
This International Women's Day, we're being asked to choose to challenge and call out gender bias, discrimination, and stereotypes. Now, I've been thinking critically and creatively about gender pretty much every day for the past 10 years or so. And as a queer femme, the way that men and women and people who don't fit neatly into either of those categories fit into society, that is to say, gender roles, was suddenly called into question for me when I came out and started to get to know and love people with hugely varied relationships to their own gender. And I'm going to tell you a very short version of what I've learned. So, the binary categories of femininity, masculinity that we're familiar with, at least in colonial North American culture, developed out of the European patriarchal society that has become dominant here. That is to say, it is a direct result of a culture that intentionally places men above women and intentionally created expectations of men and women to uphold that structure. So we're given access to the benefits of living in our society by performing our roles as men and women as accurately as possible. We are more likely to be accepted into social circles, more likely to be respected in the workplace, more likely even to be given good care by doctors, and so much more when we act the way that is expected of us based on our gender. But here's the issue. The femininity that women are expected to perform involves being less assertive, taking on work that is less valued by society, both socially and financially, and literally taking up less space by shrinking our bodies. In order to fit into society, we must submit to a lesser role within society. Now, obviously, I'm speaking to you today on International Women's Day because this mandatory performance of femininity, which is designed to keep women and femmes down, is clearly something that would be beneficial for us to reject and free ourselves from. But I'm sure that there's many people here today who aren't women, and guess what? Men are expected to perform masculinity in a very specific way too. So, although under the patriarchy, men most of the time have it better, everybody actually has something to gain from rejecting this rigid view of gender. When men reject the narrow version of masculinity that you're expected to perform, you reject the toxic parts of masculinity. You reject the idea that you can't be emotional or empathetic, that you can't have meaningful relationships with friends, and that you can't just enjoy elements of our culture that have been deemed to be for women only. Upholding rigid ideas of masculinity may give you access to power, but it blocks you from accessing the full breadth of human experience and joy. Now, one of the biggest problems with these rigid gender roles is that many, if not most, people naturally don't fit perfectly within them. That's because gender roles are created by society, not by nature. So there's no biological reason for people to dress, act, feel, or relate in specific ways based on our chromosomes, our organs, our hormones, or anything else biological. So, with nothing but societal expectations compelling us to fit within our boxes of feminine and masculine, most of us don't perfectly fit society's ideal of a woman or a man. In particular, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and asexual women, transgender, two-spirit, and intersex women, Black, Indigenous, and women of color, and women with disabilities are excluded and not allowed to access the benefits of living in our society because we simply cannot perform femininity in the way that is expected of us. So, if you're a person who doesn't fit the expectations of your gender, and that's most of us to some extent, I'm here to tell you that you not only deserve the basics, the human rights of freedom from discrimination, access to healthcare, and the conditions for health, but you also deserve health and love, and to be celebrated, and to be seen for who you truly are, and to not have to hide parts of yourself that don't conform to the straight white womanhood or manhood that's expected of us. I can tell you from my own experience, being able to experiment with gender and feel secure in exploring all aspects of who you truly are, regardless of your identity or how you're seen by others, is the most freeing thing. Many of us spend so much energy masking who we truly are in order to be acceptable to society. Just imagine all of the energy that we could instead put into loving and caring for each other if we could just be ourselves. So, what can we do to create this world where everyone can be our authentic selves? Well, we can think about where these expectations are in our daily lives and challenge them. We can challenge the judgments that people pass when someone behaves in a way that's not expected of them based on how we perceive their gender. We can challenge the jokes that people make that are based on expectations of gender roles. We can challenge the beliefs that we hold, for example, about what bodies are acceptable in what kinds of clothes. We can also get to know ourselves. We can get to know our own unique qualities, likes, dislikes, interests, outside of the expectations of gender. We can ask ourselves, who would I be if I didn't have to be a woman? Who would I be if I wasn't expected to be a man? These can be confusing and sometimes difficult questions to ask ourselves. And for me, meditation has been one of the most important tools to just be with myself, the person who I know and love, without any expectations of who I should be, only the knowledge of who I am. I hope you, too, can be comfortable knowing exactly who you are and unafraid to create a world where that unique person is fully accepted.
Wow, that certainly gave me lots of food for thought. What stood out to me was the sense of belongingness and the feeling of acceptance. It's a basic need that all of us have across gender identities. Yet it is not extended equally to everyone in the society. And speaking up when someone's behavior is inappropriate is uncomfortable. It's hard. But it also goes a long way. And I think the other message that I was taking note of as we were hearing was knowing who you are and appreciating the unique perspective you bring is so very valuable. Okay, so with that, let's transition to our next speaker, Indrani Nagenthiram, the founder and president of Villa Karuna Home for Seniors. After completing her studies in Sri Lanka, Mrs.Indrani assisted her father in his jewelry business. She went on to becoming the secretary to the director of irrigation in Colombo. She later joined the Bank of Ceylon. And after arriving in Canada, she gained valuable experience working for CNIB, which is the Canadian Institute for the Blind. Due to restructuring, when her position was abolished, she was faced with an uncertain future. Unwavering in her determination to do something worthwhile, she connected with her passion for supporting the most respected yet vulnerable members in our society. Yes, our elders. And thus, Villa Karuna Senior Care was born. Let's take a moment to hear more from Indrani.
Good day. My name is Indrani Nagenthiram. I am the founder and the CEO of Villa Karuna Home for Seniors, which is a pioneer retirement home for the Sri Lankan Tamil community in Canada. It has been established and sustaining for last 18 years, looking after our vulnerable seniors from the Tamil community. Looking after seniors is not an easy task. You have to have the passion, the patience, and the love towards these vulnerable people. Villa Karuna was a pioneer to take this task to be done to our Sri Lankan community, as I mentioned. It is a non-profit organization, and we totally depend on our fundraising program and from the revenue that we receive from the seniors who reside there. As you all know, due to recent pandemic COVID-19, the whole world was affected very badly. However, with the Villa Karuna home for seniors, with God's blessings, the 12 residents were not affected. The reason for it is 24/7 services by the dedicated staff, good diet, boosting their immune system, and keeping them engaged with many programs, virtual programs like exercise, workout, heartfulness meditation, singing, games, etc. So this made them to be happy and not to worry about this COVID-19. Even though it was very challenging period for us, we were able to take care of all of our residents. Heartfulness Meditation Center, when they contacted us, we were very fortunate to have them give our residents this program. I have seen it has promoted wellness, balance, and inner peace to my residents. The way they explain the meditation method to get rid of their stress, to find inner peace, is very impressive. Once the session is over, my residents feel very, very peaceful, which I have observed many times. So once again, we are very, very fortunate that Heartfulness Meditation, we came in contact with them. Dear Mr. Daji, I take this opportunity to thank the Heartfulness Meditation Center for providing these valuable services, which gives an inner peace to my residents at Villa Karuna Home for Seniors, and which they enjoy very much, and they look forward for every Thursday that half an hour to sit and do that yoga. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best to continue this service more and more and do the best for our needed people. Thank you.
It is so uplifting to hear about nonprofit organizations such as Villa Karuna that are making a positive impact in our community. These are unusual and tough times, and I commend the vision of providing 24/7 care. That certainly takes a lot of hard work, a lot of love, and compassion. Speaking of compassion, what comes to mind is heartfulness. And that was a common thread mentioned by all of our speakers. If you were to Google meditation, you will likely find a lot of content related to mindfulness. So it's a natural question. What is heartfulness? Let's hear how heartfulness has created a shift in consciousness from Daji, who is the current global guide of heartfulness. Here is a quick video.
Great Swami Vivekananda once mentioned that we all have some level of consciousness. We all have. But it's a very thin layer of consciousness. All the spiritual practices, the purpose of yoga is to fly into a sky of superconsciousness and allow your consciousness to also dive deeper in subconscious oceans. Fantastic. It's very nice to hear about superconscious and subconscious, but how to arrive at superconscious state? This thought process must result into feeling. And here where heartfulness meditation helps. In 1873, a gentleman named Ramchandra was born. in Fatehgarh, North India, UP. He reinvented this age-old technique of Pranahuti. Such a state of superconsciousness can be accelerated with the help of Pranahuti, with the help of yogic transmission. And I often tell young minds that please don't trust me when it comes to fundamental things like this. Have a scientific approach, even with religious things. That when someone says yogic transmission is there, look at it with a lot of skepticism. In the beginning, you must dissect it, you must analyze it, whether this will change my consciousness or not. So, first thing I have to do, I must meditate on my own without this transmission, just to compare the control versus placebo versus actual transmission. You all have meditated without transmission, so there is no problem. Now, introduce this method of meditating on the heart, but without yogic transmission. Write down your result. And I recommend you only just 15 to 20 minutes of meditation with yogic transmission. Decide it for yourself. You are the scientist, your heart is the laboratory, and you are the judge. And I assure you, the shift in consciousness is instant.
As mentioned, don't take my word for it. Let's experience for ourselves. So, what do you think? Are you ready to sit back and experience Heartfulness Relaxation Meditation? Let's get to that. And right after the section, we will hear more about the research and science behind the practice. I would now like to invite and turn it over to Padma Nunkala, one of the certified Heartfulness trainers. Padma has been practicing for 22 years, and she will guide us through heartfulness relaxation and meditation. Welcome, Padma.
Hi, welcome all. I'm so happy to see all of you. And let's begin our heartfulness meditation session. Thank you all. And it always helps when you make a note of your meditation experience. If you have a diary or a journal, write down your thoughts. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day and stay tuned, and back to Nupur.
Thank you for that, Padma. I think as you were guiding us through the relaxation piece, that was really helpful for me to follow your voice to the relaxation. And I, for one, experienced many thoughts in the beginning, and they started to gradually just become lessened as we progressed. And yes, I'm definitely feeling a lot more calmer. And when you said gently come out of meditation, I was enjoying keeping my eyes closed. So definitely had that experience. Thank you for that. I continue to be curious and to better understand how does it really work behind the scenes. And I'm sure you might have some questions like myself. So I'd like to now introduce and request Dr. Patrick Porter to join us. A gentle reminder to all our viewers, please do continue to share your questions and comments through the comment section on YouTube. We are monitoring them and will continue to take them up as we go along. So Dr. Patrick is the founder and chief Braintap Officer at Braintap, which was created with a singular mission in mind: to better billion brains. With its proprietary app, headset technology, and over 800 uniquely encoded audio sessions, Braintap empowers users to reduce stress, to sleep better, and maximize performance. Dr. Porter has been featured in numerous publications like the Wall Street Journal, and he has come on many channels such as ABC, NBC, CBS, and the Discovery Channel. He is the head of mind-based studies at Quantum University, and he has authored 6 books, including Thrive in Overdrive: How to Navigate Your Overloaded Lifestyle. So with that, let's welcome Dr. Patrick Porter.
Hello, great to be here.
Hello, such a pleasure to have you. As I was, going through your background, I was thinking, wow, that's a lot of great stuff for one human. So in other words, it's a sincere pleasure to have this conversation with you. Could you please start by sharing about your heartfulness meditation experience? I'm particularly interested to understand what inner transformation or inner change you have experienced over time.
Well, I've been very fortunate that I started doing these meditations quite a while ago, and Dr. Vic Sharma with the Ames Institute actually introduced me to heartfulness. So, and because he knows my connection to doing heart rate variability, which we're going to talk a little bit about the science. So from my perspective, I wanted to see physiologically what happened, but for me, I'm always looking for the underlying reality, the consciousness piece. And for me, we need something that we can do without gadgets, without anything. You can just do it on your own. So for me, I know that for myself, I need to have this time just for my personal space. I can't operate without doing meditation every day. It's like my medication, if you will. We always say that meditation is your medication. So when we do that, and we now prove that the brain can release, we have the most powerful pharmacy on earth, and it connects the heart to the brain, or the brain to the heart. It's really, most people don't know this in science yet, but it's becoming more and more well known that the heart actually communicates twice as much to the brain as the brain does to the heart. So for me, it just helped me to bring clarity around this meditation. I mean, we've heard from beginning of time for me with meditating, and I started at 12 years old, that there is a divine spark in our heart. Every sacred book kind of talks about that. So this is a meditation that helps you to really fan that light and get it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, life events and circumstances can be stressful. And the pandemic has certainly added to that and different elements of that. And for some of us, it is very difficult. So how does heartfulness affect positively and bring about change in the way we approach life? I guess what I'm trying to really understand is what happens inside my system. And as I heard about the impact of Pranahuti. So if you could talk a bit about that, it'll be helpful.
Sure. When we talk about transmission, actually, it's a unique story. You can actually, when I was in Hyderabad, I was there at the inauguration of the facility they showed, which was really cool being there and seeing what was happening. But I was asked to measure people before and after what happens during these transmissions. And they can see the whole thing on YouTube. In fact, they have it on there. But in the study, what we found was when somebody is transmitting, when you get outside yourself and you start giving to other people, we know that the brain and body they act differently when we're self-centered. And we can even put this back into brain waves and the way our brain operates and stress. And in this day and age, there's something called psychoimmunology that everyone kind of needs to be aware of a little bit, which means your psychology affects your physiology and your immunity right now. So we know that we have a powerful innate intelligence in our body, and the more stressed we feel, the less it works. It's not like people think they can think their way out of things or they can work their way out of things. The reality is that is counterproductive for the way in which our body operates. Our body is designed that when we're at calm, when we're at peace, when we're in harmony with other people. There's something in science called entrainment, and a lot of people might know, like a tuning fork. When I hit a tuning fork and there's another tuning fork present that's in that same vibratory frequency, it will start resonating to it. This happens in all things in nature, all things in the physical universe. So when somebody's doing transmission, they're acting like that tuning fork. They're tuning consciousness. They're bringing in that energy, and anyone in their presence or anyone they're thinking about actually brings about a shift or a change in their perceptual filter, because everything in the world is vibrating through light, sound, and vibration. And we can measure it now. The neat thing about science is that we now know that meditation isn't just sitting there hallucinating that something's happening. We know that there's physiological effects happening. We even know, based on Dr. Emoto's work, even in The Secret Life of Water, that you can transmit your thoughts into water and change water crystals. I mean, this is all scientifically based now. So when we're talking about, and the neat thing is that I always like to tell my students and anyone I talk to about this meditation is that anything that happens through you happens to you. So you're the benefactor. The more you give away, the more you literally get. So as you transmit, that's working through you. That divine light is working through you. And, we first have to, as Daji said, you first have to figure it out for yourself. You have to become the vessel that can hold that energy. And really that's what happens at first, is we have to tune our vehicle, this body. We have to tune this body to receive it. The nice thing is that it's as natural as breathing. So one of the things too, you might have felt, if there were some new people on the meditation today, you might have felt when you were breathing in that maybe there's a little anxiousness happening. And when you're breathing out a little bit of calm, that's because there's two main systems of the nervous system. One is called the parasympathetic and one is the sympathetic system. The sympathetic system is your fight or flight. So when we breathe in, we actually trigger that response. But as we breathe out, we feel the more relaxed state. And then if we center our attention in our heart center, like in the meditation, what happens is we spend more time in the exhalation, and really to visualize that transmission as we exhale, we're going to bring on more of the physiological effect that's going to help us to lower our stress. That I like to call that our thriving brain, and the other is our survivor brain. And too many times when we start meditating, we get stuck in that survivor brain. But with practice, we can flip the switch and turn off that brain and get into the higher states of consciousness, is where we really want to go.
Right. And I notice here some of the questions we're getting. In Heartfulness, we talk about physical body, the subtle body, and a causal body. So could you share a bit about what you've observed through your research with respect to any measurable changes that are impacting our subtle body?
Yeah. Well, what's really neat now in science is, of course, we know that in the Indian traditions, we have chakras. And then in the Chinese, we have the meridians. And in America, we have our spinal system. So actually in our presentation we did with Daji when we were there in Hyderabad, we actually showed those three in succession, what happens pre and post when somebody's doing these experiences. And we now know that when you slow down your brain rhythm, like when you get closer to sleep, like the meditative state, your energy field actually expands. It's not just something you're hallucinating. It's not we know. And then when you're stressed out, like when you're stressed or worried or fear, any negative emotion, we know that your energy field actually collapses. So when you collapse the field, that's when fear, anxiety, stress, and the body doesn't function as well. But as you meditate, the neat thing is, and we have some images of that, in fact, I don't know how much time we have. I could show a few slides here if we wanted to, or they could go to the YouTube channel from Heartfulness, and they'll see that there's a scientific research paper that Dr. Vivek and I, we presented that showed the graphics. But this happens to everybody. And what amazed me was when Dr. Vivek, we were at an integrative health conference in in India there, and it wasn't the Hyderabad one, but it was one before that. And Dr. Vic said, can we, and just out of the blue, he said, can we measure somebody doing heartfulness meditation? I said, it's not really good to do this in front of live audiences, because you never know. I said, we should practice this before. He goes, oh no, I want to do it in front. He says, these are scientists. So we're in front of about 300 doctors and scientists. And we had one of the people that knew how to do the transmission. We hooked them up. We did the pre and post. And, I kind of gave a little disclaimer that, they're in front of 300 people, what's going to happen, not knowing exactly what was going to happen. But we had such a profound effect that, Daji in the group asked us to come to Hyderabad to present that same information. But it was almost like Dr. Vivek intuitively knew that because he had been practicing. Of course, he's been doing heartfulness meditation for a long time. And so he felt that it was good, but you'd never know what's going to happen. But so we did it over and over again. We started measuring and we found it happened to everybody. It wasn't like, and I can tell you right now that because we've measured over 30,000 people over the last 10 years, and that's not the case. That's not usually the case with meditation. So if somebody's out there going, well, you can do that with any meditation. No, it isn't. We usually find what happens in most meditations is actually the person stresses themselves out. They don't have anything to focus on, or the methodology isn't correct. And they actually get their monkey mind, if you want to call it that, is so busy that they never get out of their head and they don't continue the practice. There's a saying I have that anything worth doing well is worth doing terrible at first. And it seems like this heartfulness meditation is easy to start with, and you don't have to be perfect at first to start getting results, physiological results. So when we talk about the physical body, that's important. But then when you talk about this causal body and the spiritual body and all of these things, these all work together. And when we're tuned into these different frequencies or fields, then health manifests, because it comes from the outer to the inner. It's not, we're not, what manifests in the physical world is usually manifesting in those spiritual planes up to 7 to 10 years earlier. So we can start clearing those things out because we're bringing that energy in. It's kind of like clearing out a drain, if you will. You're clearing that out of your system so you can receive more of that light.
Yeah, and it would be great to see if you feel comfortable sharing any slides or visuals. It would be great to do that. I'm happy to pause and
Yeah, let me bring it up. I have it in the background here. So
okay, sounds good.
Oh, it's asking me to. I have to go here. Just a moment.
I think this past year, we're all learning to work better through technology. It's definitely been a learning curve. So no rush. Please take your time and let's see if the share feature works. I'm making a note of the questions we are receiving, so I'll be happy to dive into them after that.
I think I picked the wrong screen here. Let me see. Oh yeah, your entire screen. So can you see my screen now or no?
Not yet.
Chrome lost permission to capture. Oh, okay, there's something here that's.
It's okay. We'll try one more time, and I'm happy to keep going. We do have a lot of questions, so that's completely fine too.
So thank you, Nupur. So basically, I think we lost Dr. Patrick. He'll be joining shortly. So in the meantime, if we can watch one video of, the Heartfulness Cares initiative that we have been doing to touch so many hearts, that'll be nice. It's a very quick one. Oh, there you go. Patrick is also here.
It's sorry about that. Seems appropriate that the technology guy would get knocked out. So,
No worries. No worries. How are you doing? How would you like to proceed?
yeah, let's see if this happens. I'll just do it one time. If it doesn't happen, then we'll just
Okay.
talk about it.
Sure.
Okay, it looks like it's brought it up in there. So if they share that screen, then what I wanted to show here was a few of the this is a few of the different presentations that we did with Daji's group. I just want to get to some of the screens that
Right.
What we're talking about here is the heart rate variability, where we can measure the different parts of the body. So the nice thing is we're not going to go over all of these because we don't have time, but we can actually measure all of these core experiences. And this happens to be one of the scans that we did that we showed, and it's kind of an example of what happens. So when you're doing the meditation, you can see here the stress index. You want to be between 10 and 100. So this practitioner was at 252. Now, remember in Hyderabad, we were in front of about 25,000 people. So that's pretty stressful. So there you are, but after they were done doing the transmission, they went down to 72, which means they brought it into the good range. So these are just features that show when you're talking about what happens with the subtle body, we're actually able to show the energy field. And remember, when you're stressed out, I told you your energy field shrinks. They shrunk their energy field down to 15% because they were feeling vulnerable, in front of the group in the pressure. But then once they were able to share the meditation through transmission, they were able to bring it out to 72%. Now the full presentation is there. Remember, this is the way that the Indian studies does it with chakras. This is the way America would do it with the spine. So when you think about your physical system, what happens? A lot of people think you need like a chiropractic adjustment to do this. And in some cases you do. But what we do when you're bringing through this energy, this transmission, you can see where the blockages were here in the spine. Afterwards, they opened up all these energy centers through the body. And that was just by sitting and breathing. Now, again, I'm going through this very quickly so they can go to the full presentation afterwards. This is the 4 regulatory systems. And what happens? So before the mindfulness transmission, they were at minus 20% of somebody their age. Afterwards, they were at 36% positive their age. So all of these things, I'm just going to skip down to a couple others just to show you. In the brain frequencies, this is really important. This is the psycho-emotional state of the brain. You can see they were tired. This means delta means they were wanting to go to sleep while they were awake. But after the transmission, 71%, and they were able to increase their brain frequencies, through the practice. This is coherency, which means how the heart is talking to the brain. Not very good at the beginning, but afterwards, after the transmission. This is the Indian way to do it through the meridians. Are the meridians open? So they can go, and I wanted to show you the chakras so we can measure those. So you're wondering about those. So this shows all the different chakra centers. Now we can measure this, and I'm going to stop sharing just so we can go back to what we're doing. But what's happening here, or do you want me to leave one of the slides up, or do we want to get rid of that?
I think we can minimize the slides. Yeah, that was a great preview, and we do have access to your presentation, so we'll definitely be able to follow up with that.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving us a quick sneak preview of that.
Yeah. So when you go through there, what the whole thing is that a lot of people were taking things that typically are invisible. Up to 20 years ago, these things were invisible to us. We could get a good idea because we felt better. Physiologically, like myself, when I do a meditation, when I'm doing this transmission, afterwards, I'm energized. I can go out and, take on my day. And for me, it's almost like if I don't do it, I'm like an addict. I've got to find a way to do this. And even if I'm with my grandkids or training, I'll say, hey, I've got to take 5 minutes, and go do it. And I tell people, for some people, it's just 3 to 5 minutes is all they need to regain their calm, their focus. And there's big changes that happen there.
Right. And, speaking of life circumstances, there can be several imbalances in life, in our systems that may lead to, let's say, negative consequences, such as weight gain. Could you speak a little more around the impact of meditation on, areas such as weight gain,
Sure.
unhealthy weight gain?
Yeah. What happens with the body now, depending upon, everybody has a different weight that's right for them, but stress throws everything out of balance. So the stress of one stressful encounter can be the same stress on the body as many negative things. Like, for instance, if you eat a candy bar, that's a lot of sugar, right? And everybody knows, hey, if I eat a candy bar, I'm going to possibly harm my body. But the reality is, one stressful event, your liver creates just the same amount of sugar as a candy bar, because our body creates sugar itself. So stressful events create sugar because our body thinks, hey, we're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. These bodies are not evolved as everybody thinks. Our consciousness has evolved, but these bodies were designed for the Serengeti. We're supposed to be taking naps in the middle of the day, and we're out there hunting and gathering. But the reality is that now we live in a whole different experience. So foods are important, but what I tell people, it's not always what you're eating that's causing the weight gain. It's what's eating you. So when you start to meditate, what's nice is you start to put your life into perspective. You give yourself time to slow down. We have so many thoughts we think during the day. Some people will say up to 5,000 thoughts that we have or more during the day. And not all of those are positive. But when you start meditating, you can start self-editing, and then you start focusing on the divine. If you focus on that divine light, then your brain starts to think, hey, that's what's important to me. And then it changes your whole focus and your whole activity. And really, it's about being healthy. And once you start being healthy, then the body will transform. So that means, some people, my dad growing up was over 400 pounds. My mother was 350. So I know a lot about weight gain. And of course, my body, if I ate the way they did, and my dad was an alcoholic. So, you have these, the practices, those are not lifestyle choices that are going to make you healthy. So one of the things is, once you start leading your own, whatever your spiritual life is, it's going to bleed over into other areas of your life, from being mindful about the way you're eating, being mindful about what you're drinking, being mindful about the way you interact with people. All of that is going to influence your body to be healthier. And I always tell people, don't worry about weight loss or gain, worry about health. Worry about being healthy, because I know some thin people that are unhealthy, and I know some overweight people that are very healthy. So it just depends on how you're regulating it. And the biggest thing is happiness. When you start thinking about being happy and choosing to be happy, choosing to be the divine light that's within you, everything works itself out. When there's the saying, it says, just let it happen. And the word let means in no way help or hinder the process. Too many times we get in there thinking we have a better plan. And the reality is that sometimes it's just about relaxing, letting go, and spending the time, instead of maybe doing something that's destructive for your body, take 10, 20 minutes and do a mindfulness practice, this heartfulness.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I see we have requests to have a more detailed session with you. So we'll definitely follow up on that. I'll take an opportunity to ask one more question. I'm just going through the comments and questions we are receiving. So I'll take just one more. It says here, sleep has been a problem for many due to a very hectic lifestyle. Even when I'm going to bed, I'm tossing up and turning and not getting deep sleep. Any thoughts you could share about that, how to improve the quality of sleep?
Right. Well, I think even just what they just were experiencing, that guided the when you do what they call body patterning, or you're scanning the body, when you're laying in bed and doing breathing exercises, that's really important. But what you'll find is, the more you spend time in the meditation, the better your sleep's going to be. What happens is, unfortunately, when you disengage, when you go to sleep, if you haven't disengaged already from your daily life, the stresses of life, we recommend, there's a few things. You start shutting down the lights in your home. Don't watch TV at least an hour before sleep. Some people that might be the time for them to practice the heartfulness, we need to calm our bodies down. Our nervous system is so stressed right now, and it gets locked into, most people are running around in chronic low-level stress. And then when they go to sleep, it actually amplifies it. instead of turning off that brain. And it's really a practice. So I think that you can do those breathing exercises. Remember, when you're laying in bed and you're exhaling out, try to spend more time exhaling out while you're visualizing these.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think you've given us a lot of different insights. Thank you so much for sharing them with us. We will follow up with another detailed session. We have many more questions streaming in that we're not able to get to due to time. I would like to now invite Vishwa Srinivasan. You saw him a few minutes ago here to join us. Vishwa is the Heartfulness Canada's coordinator for the central region, extending all the way up to the eastern region. Vishwa, please join us back. We can't hear you. I think you might be on mute.
Yep, now better?
Yes.
So you said that we are not great with technology, so we are still learning. Nupur, you have been a great host, Nupur. I must tell you that the event would not have been so very smooth without you. I have a series of thank yous that I will have to do today. First, I will begin with thanking all the women who have touched my life and touched everyone's life all over the world. A very big thank you for everything that you are and everything that you do. Second, I would like to thank all our special guests who joined us and made this a special event. Ms.Apoorva Srivatsava, who's Consul General of India, Mrs.Raji Arasaratnam, CEO of TET TV and Editor-in-Chief of Thamilar Senthamarai Publications, Mrs.Indrani Nagenthiram, Founder and CEO of Villa Karuna Senior Homes, Dr.Arlie Millyard, Inclusive Health and Wellness Consultant. We really look forward to deepening our engagement and association with each one of you in future. I also would like to thank TET TV President Mrs.Raji Arasaratnam. You would have heard her announcement that meditation made simpler by Daji would hereafter be playing on every Sunday. So this morning at 10 a.m. it begins. So we pray and we hope that the millions of viewers of Tamil Entertainment TV, the South Asians, will get benefited from Pranahuti and all the heartfulness practices. I also have a very special thanks for Dr. Patrick Porter. He has been very patiently been with us throughout the session. It's been just amazing just looking at what he has actually shared. Many times I have heard people say that, when they finish the meditation, they feel very fresh. Although they were very tired before, they are very, very fresh. So they used to ask, and we used to say like, yeah, it's energy that goes inside. But now I'm able to see how when Dr. Patrick Porter was explaining the psycho-emotional states and how before and after there is a big change. This is just like something phenomenal. Dr. Patrick, like we are very lucky to be having you and being able to look at all these things. There have been a lot of requests that we should actually have more sessions with you to look at some of these things in detail. We will follow up with you on that one. And thanks in general for all our viewers who joined today to make the session virtually, in making the session a success. I have one request for all the first name seekers who joined today and experienced heartfulness for the first time. If you really felt touched by Pranahuti, and if you really like to learn or experience what Pranahuti is, you actually saw the visual differences that on the screen that what Nupurji was actually showing. When somebody meditates with Pranahuti and without, like how the big difference it is. If you really want to experience it one more time or would like to know more about it, feel free to connect with us. Our email address is heartfulnesscares@heartfulness.org. And then very important for something to you all know is heartfulness is not just about meditation. There are several core practices and several micro practices that help us effectively combat some of the life challenges that every one of us face. So one of our certified heartfulness trainers would be very happy to connect with you and give you an experience either in a personalized setting or in a group setting. I would also like to thank all the volunteers, content creators, promotions, event managers, with all their loving hearts. They had been like spending nights and hours to, bring this program to whatever it was. So thank you so much, to everyone. One last thanks that I would like to do is to our guide, Daji. my humble pranams. He is not just like leading us in how we can serve the humanity, but by being that role model. He is just a live example for all of us to follow and be inspired. We will prayerfully continue this great service of heartfulness for the humanity, united in service, harmonious in effect, and anonymous in execution. So that will be a thank you from my side. And before I turn it over to Nupur, I just want to check with Dr. Patrick, if he has any quick word to share.
Well, I just want to tell people that, this is a cumulative practice too. Even though I just showed one time, it actually builds up. It's like you build up this, if you want to call it energy bank account or spiritual bank account. So it's not like it's not a one and off. It stays around. And physically, we know that it stays around for 72 hours is what we've shown in our studies. So even if you only get a chance to do it every other day, you're still going to get a benefit. So it's not like it's a hard and fast rule. The more you do it, of course, the better. So do it as much as you can.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And reconnecting back to our today's theme for International Women's Day, I'd like to share that we all play a part in shaping a culture that fosters equality. And as I am recalling the past hour and 45 minutes, I definitely have two key takeaways for myself. One is to continue to connect with my inner self through meditation. It's a great way for me to uncover my own assumptions and biases. And second, let's take the time to honor and acknowledge women every single day. So with that, thank you for joining us today, and we'll look forward to keeping in touch.
We have opportunity to learn something out of this disaster unfolding in front of our eyes. The great Swami Vivekananda, during his times while he was walking around this Pavitra Bhumi of India, he saw so much of pain, so much of misery, so much of hunger. He said, the people of my country, they really don't need God at the moment. They need food. At this hour, we need treatments. It is weakness on our part to offer prayer instead of serving the humanity. Prayers are great. But what am I doing? Prayer should be the last resort. This is my belief. When my mother is sick, is it okay that I go to a corner in my meditation room? I offer prayers to God. Please, God, look after my mother. Please help her. Will it be good? No. I'll have to take actions in my hands. I'll have to do something. I'll have to call doctor. Likewise, there are many innocent people around us. There are many citizens around us who are suffering. We can help them. Of course, we have embargo. We have been isolated from the rest of the society. But wherever possible, it is an opportunity to serve the people. Time for worship, we always have time for worship. But depending on prayers, when there is a war-like situation, it's okay to pray. It's okay to make sankalpas. I love that. But besides that, I would also need to extend my help, services. All the Heartfulness members, all across the globe, they're collecting funds. They're also serving more than 25 to 30,000 meals a day to those who are needing. So I wish many people will join hands and serve the needy. It's a clarion call. How during troubled times we can come together. So with a lot of prayers to you all, that let us all become serving citizens during the times when they need the most. Thank you. Thank you for listening.